So what a fintech conference without credit as a topic, because we have to earn somehow, you know. And today I'm going to tell you about how we have built our credit card product and how we transformed our debit card into credit. Maybe you will take some steps from our experience and create something by your own. And I personally prefer the second name of this presentation, which sounds as how to build credit system from scratch and to survive. Mostly actual for IT team. So, but first let's have a look on who we are and what we're doing and what we were doing before we started this project. SMS Group is a group of companies with main specialization in credits. We're operating as a loan issuer in 8 countries currently. We have issued our first loan in 2009. And our latest product, which appeared only last year, in the middle of last year, is a Violet payment card product, which was launched in May 2019. So we're operating as a loan issuer for more than 10 years already. And during this time, there was a huge transformation of business environment. And we understood that we need to change somehow our loan issuing business. And here is our Violet. And why not to combine it all together, credits, experience in credits, and card product. So from business point of view, we had everything. We had credit systems for some countries. We were operating already in European Union, it's 6 countries. Here are cards, so let's integrate it together. But from technical point of view, telling truth, we were not that sure about our current solutions. For quite a long time, when we just started, we were kind of startup. We need everything fast, just to deliver systems, open new countries, launch systems in new countries, and we were doing it basing on very common and very bad practice. We made some forks from existing systems, yeah, for each country. And for quite a long time, we were working like that. So you take one system, you copy it, and start adjusting it to another market, and this is how you get 2 different systems, looking quite similar, but still different, and with different code base. And it became quite complicated to maintain all this stuff and to support it. And especially we had problems integrating some projects which needed to be launched in each country. That's why we had an idea about optimization, about building one platform, about microservices, about dividing this big monoliths into smaller parts. And when we heard about idea of launching card product as a credit card in our existing countries, we were a bit terrified by the idea that we will need to build into each monolith the same integration with this card platform. And that's why we as IT have offered our business and proposed to build a new platform for issuing credits. So here you can see some ideas behind our will to build something new and to have new platform to which later we could migrate all our existing credit products. So now it is integrated with Violet, and this is the way we're delivering this loan to the customers. But we're able to define and configure different interfaces there. Just then you will not have mobile app with your payment card, but you will have web, and there you will have profile, and you will get bank transfer on your account. So that basic functionality is nearly all the same for all the credits. So few words, let's start from Violet architecture. We are using in Violet third-party solutions, so nearly everything is outsourced. We are only coordinating development and some changes in this outsourced systems. In the middle, there is a core banking system where we keep all the accounts, we create accounts. It is connected to mobile application through the mobile backend, which is kind of gateway. Also, application is connected to middleware or business process modeling tool. In our case, it's Corzoid. And then information goes to CRM system. Then we have two more interfaces, Internet Bank and PSD2 interface. Core banking is connected to SEPA through SEPA connector DPS and to Swift with Swift connector built into the core system. Then it goes to card processor, MasterCard, Perso Bureau. So, what we needed, we have an idea. We need credits on this credit card, on this payment card, sorry. First step was to check what we have in our core banking solution. Because you need to have at least something about credits there. Otherwise, your transactions will be kind of refused because there are no money on your debit account. So we started checking what we've got there inside. Credit product itself existed. For sure, with our business spoiled by having in-house IT for credits, we're not very satisfied with the credit product which was there inside the core. And that's about not very good points here. So no such flexibility our business is used to. But good point about this core was that API are available and we can integrate whatever we want and we can delegate most of product definitional fees or calculations, everything related to credits to external system, which we could make ourselves. And for sure, as always with third-party solutions, we had terms and budget limitations. So, first point was done. We have checked that we have such ability to define a limit for customer, that he will be able to go into minus. Then the second step was to pick the option, how technically this will be implemented. So spending from debit account, then using credit limit, what we want to offer to the customers. And we have found three options which we could use. First was classic overdraft. When you are spending money from the top, then you reach the zero, then you go minus and you reach your credit limit. But what our business didn't like about this idea is how you pay money back. We want to offer repayment schedule. So, in this case, in our core, this classic overdraft was done in a way that you are topping up your account starting from the bottom. So you will repay all your loan first, and this wasn't the idea. Second option we were looking at was one account to issue money from to customer accounts. So in case customer is reaching zero, before each transaction we're checking if he's got enough money on his debit account, and then we top up his account with the money he needs to make the payment he wants. Actually, that was in our case. Some different core systems maybe do it in a different way, but in our case, this was very long and expensive implementation for such an option, and also statement structure with this topping up account before taking money from it didn't look well. So actually in this case, this account would stay debit account. We're just putting money there. Third option, which we have picked finally, was a kind of modified version of overdraft. Here, actually we have two different accounts. This one is debit account and this one is credit. And when there are no money on debit account, we're starting taking money from credit account. But here, top up is possible only for debit account. So when you're topping up your account, you're putting your money on your card and you can still use it. But about this part, what you've got here in the minus, you will receive your monthly invoices and you will be able to repay loan by the shadow. And still not to put somewhere your card, but continue using it. So we have defined how technically this credit limit will be. We understood it is possible to do this. We defined how we will do this. And then we went for credit system architecture. So here it is, the main part. As far as we have picked Poland as the first country, and we're operating in this country for nearly 10 years, since 2011. Yeah, nine years. So we have quite a big history about customers, and we're able to calculate not that bad scoring. And this is a very valuable thing for new credit system. So it would be not very clever from our side not to use data from our existing system to build a scoring model for the new one, because most probably this will be nearly same category of the customers using this system and this. So that's why we decided to go for shared database, which is used only by our scoring. Our risk team was happy. Actually, they finally had database which is defined for them only, and which doesn't contain any data needed for just system to work. So they had really everything they needed for scoring. We decided to delegate decision making to this system, decision making as a process itself, because it is one of the things we like about our old systems. The only thing which we decided to do in the future to take it away from this system and to create separate module for decision making. So this system is dropped into a layer of API, and the biggest pain was migration of the data here. If you're interested in that, you can ask more questions about migration, about that pain. Most IT people probably know about, but let's not maybe pay too much attention to that now. So, closer look on a credit system itself. We're working for so many years with credits, we thought we know everything about it. We know how to build a good system. We thought so. We decided first to go with domain-driven architecture. So we have defined some concepts which are main in a credit system for credit. So we have product, we have customers, applications, all the calculations. We had an idea to have all these concepts as microservices. So you can do any magic inside, but you always have one input, and then you have defined output, and you can change whatever you want inside. And this looked quite good in our thoughts. But when we started making real architecture and thinking about all these relations, we were lost quite soon. Because all the services had to talk to all the services. And that was the point when we turned our domain-driven architecture to process-driven. And we introduced rule engine here. Perfect thing, I have to say. We have defined flows and processes for everything, starting from payment processing, for customers, for identification, verification, for applications. So actually this is, we had the right time to change this architecture, and we were able to do it, and we are very happy we had a chance to change it on that way. So, and then we were already developing system. We had architecture, we had everything, and then unexpectedly, as always, we got some changes coming from the business side. First, there was such an interesting requirement. We need to make both credit system and maybe even application white labeled. So it should be possible to serve not only to this mobile application wallet, but also to keep in the same system credits from other applications and from other companies. Also, product has changed because we have made some market research, and we decided to make it a bit differently. Our business decided. And the third point was introduction of different categories of customers, which is quite related to the first one. So if you have it as a white label, you have different customers, and maybe your partners will want to introduce other flows for customers. So for each group of customers, we needed to define its own flow, and that was the point when I personally fall in love with Rule Engine, because we were able to do it easily. So it is more or less all about our architecture and how we implemented it. And I was asked actually to add some legal points to this presentation. So here are main things what you might want to know about issuing credits by EMI. Here are 4 conditions which you should meet to be able to issue loan by EMI. First, it should be related to your main product, to payments, to transactions. So we're issuing it together with the card. It is closely related to the card, so it's okay with this. Second is that you cannot issue long-term loans, so it shouldn't exceed 12 months. We are building our payment schedule in a way that each transaction is repaid in 12 months. For sure, customer is able to repay earlier. Then more financial stuff here. Point 3 is about funds from which you're granting the loan, so it shouldn't be your customers' funds. And the last one is even more financial. It's about the equity. So we have nearly finished the project. We're about to launch first version in few weeks in Poland, and we have some conclusions and some lessons learned after this project, because we had some fails, we had some good things. So, lesson 1 about Rule Engine. Rule Engine is a must, in my opinion, if we're talking about processes which are closely related to the end user. Because, again, only basing on our experience, when we're building something for users, our business would like to try different processes, to try different options, to make some A/B tests when we're splitting our customer flows, and we're trying this and that, some simplified way or more complicated, and they want to get a proof of concept for each of these flows. We prefer, in our case, rule engines defined in the code. We had, actually, we were limited by the time. which rule engine to pick. We needed, if we would go with some codeless solution with a graphic interface, we would need to make a research. We would need to analyze which tools exist, which limitations exist there, do they have synchronous, asynchronous processes, how this works. Actually, we had no time for that. And at the end, we're more flexible because for codeless rule engines, you're always limited with what you can feed to this rule engine. You have something defined anyway, and you can meet some limitations. Lesson 2. I'm not quite sure how many people here are that technical, so I will try to describe this key value approach on the such simple example, what we were thinking about. So we used in for a lot of concepts, we used key value approach. This means that you can store information, let's say, about balance of each contract with all the fees you have calculated for one day. You can store it as, here you will have list of contracts, and here you will have in each column, you will have, you will store one fee. And here we make as many records, as many fees you've got for each day. We are very flexible with this approach. This is not even a lesson. We haven't got proof of concept for this yet because we're a bit worried about the performance of such approach. We're creating a huge amount of records, but at the same moment, we do not store anything what is not actual anymore. For example, in this case, to add new value, to add new fee, you would need to change your structure and to add something. But even worst case is when you're taking something out from your price list. It will still stay here because you have just a few contracts for which you have already calculated it. So here we do not know yet if it was a good idea or bad. We're flexible, we know this is good, but we're not quite sure about the performance. Lesson 3, API first development. This is what we did. As far as we have built everything on microservices, our parts of the systems are talking to each other by API. We are talking by API to our application. So all the interfaces, the only interface the system has got is API. This is trendy, same as microservices itself, but you should consider in every project if you really need it. Here again, if we're talking about the possibility that there will be big changes from the business and they will request you something you cannot even just imagine now, then it is a good approach. You were talking about, let's say, accountancy system. Most probably you do not need it there. What's for? So you should consider it. And also here we had a problem which is quite similar, for example, for test-driven development. We have tests, we do not have functionality. This was our case. We had APIs, but functionality was lacking a bit. And documentation was delivered first to our mobile app developers, and they were not happy that, yeah, okay, it's documentation, API, nice, but nothing is happening there behind. So, yeah, quite interesting situation. Lesson 4, always leave a room for changes. Less technical, but related to all three previous. We are doing such an exercise in our IT team. We are trying to imagine what our business could request from us. Some marketing promotions, some special, very, very special tariffs, So when you calculate fees for some transactions, then you do not calculate fees for these transactions. It is based on some magical conditions and whatever they could think about. So we're trying to define such a list, and then we are trying to think how it could be set up in our system. Then we get a list of things which are actually ruining our existing architecture, and we start thinking some workarounds, how it could be implemented, what we could still change in the architecture, or maybe how in a different way we could define the same. So there are no requirements from business, but we're already thinking how to fulfill it. Lesson 5. There is no excessive or unnecessary information for IT people. Here we had a not very nice experience. We have a distributed team. Part of the team is working from Warsaw. So they haven't heard that much, let's say, about Violet product, how it is built, what is going on there. But we here in Riga, we hear something, just someone told something during lunchtime, then you heard something in the kitchen, and you start living with this idea that something like that exists, okay, and you start understanding something about it. So a lot of information just is in the air around you. And then we delivered to our team in Warsaw document with product description. They were shocked. They were staring at this document and not understanding anything from that. We needed about 5 or 6 sessions, Skype calls. We went to Warsaw just to make them understand this. And that's not their problem. It's not about the team not understanding or being, let's say, bad or something. They just haven't got this context around them. And for them, it looks like, what are we doing now? What will we get as a result finally? And the second point here is also about the same thing. You need to educate your IT personnel in financial area. We needed to build a module for calculations and for transactions, for booking transactions in our credit system. It's not totally same as general ledger, but still you need to understand something about how booking is done, about all this debit credit. For IT people, sometimes it's not their fault again, but sometimes it's a quite complex thing for them to do and to understand. Next lesson is also based on our not that good experience. I'm not a huge fan of official documents for the project, but sometimes, especially we are talking about financial product and about a big system, you need to define dictionary and have a list of definitions. So you ensure that all the people are talking the same language. We were not doing it before because we're mostly working with change requests, and everyone understands what we are talking about in existing system. But when it is something done from scratch, you do not have this base for understanding. You do not have this common context. And let's say, example, transactions. What is transaction? Transaction in a credit system might be this what is coming into this system, not this payment transaction. From our IT team was also a question, okay, and what about holds? So money is not available on the account already. So how to treat this one? So that's that led us to the idea that we need to make a list of definitions. We started doing it within some smaller parts of description, but still we haven't got the big list of definitions for the whole project, and this is definitely what we will do next time, and knowing that next big project is coming. And lesson 7, estimates and scope of work definition. Talking about estimates, this is not even a lesson, this is a problem defined. Telling truth, I do not know how to estimate such a project, even now after we have finished, because we haven't understood what we're going to build. We had a lot of questions to business. Business changed the product and the whole project. They asked to implement this white label functionality, and we really were not able to tell them anything about terms and when we will be able to deliver it. And telling truth, we set some estimates only basing on the feeling that, okay, our business maybe will live with this and will not task us to think better about it. And only in the middle of the project, we were actually able to define full scope of work. And we made it to calculate more precise estimations, but we also had very surprising and good side effects for that. Our team became more inspired about the project. They finally understood their contribution when they see the full list of tasks, in which you include even, okay, we've done a template engine for all the documents in the system, but still there is a small task that you need to put this text of the customer agreement into the system. This is also the task. So we have defined full list of such tasks, whatever we could imagine, all the endpoints, even the smaller ones. So we have put everything into one list. We were able then, in the middle of project, to calculate estimates finally. And also our team was very inspired. They told that for several times after that, that finally we see what we're doing, that it is very nice feeling when you have full list. It was done just, we have system where we define all the tasks for sure, but this was done just in Excel. And for them, it was even nicer to see it in Excel when they're just crossing out these tasks. And they know that when we will cross out everything, we will have the system working, and this will be kind of production. So this is it. Today I'm talking maybe too fast or maybe too little, not that detailed as I was planning, so there are a lot of time left. So final lesson is, as always, first it looks terrifying, then you think, oh, easy, and only then you understand how it is. So thank you very much, and we have quite a lot of time left for questions.
Perfect, because we have quite a lot of lessons. Applause, please. Yes. Yes. So, are you ready? Are you ready to hear your questions answered?
Actually, I have here help.
You have help?
Yeah, we have our system architect here. So for more technical questions, maybe, or for some questions I will not want to answer to, I will redirect it.
Okay. Are those personal questions you don't want to answer to? What? Okay, let's just...
Not sure he will be able to answer them.
Let's just jump in it. What are main differences between your rule engine and known workflow orchestration tools, Netflix Conductor, Uber, Cadence, ZB, etc.?
Actually, you can pick the one you like. We had no time to make analysis, as I mentioned, and that's why we just went with the code.
That's the answer. Rule engine, Did you implement it from the scratch or took some third-party solution? Which exactly and why?
We took a package from, so actually it is defined in yeah, which exactly. Should we go into the details with this package and so on? So it is defined just in the code.
Is the answer satisfying? Yeah? Cool. No one's screaming, no, answer it more. Okay, so if you want...
Actually, there is not that much to say about. We have picked, okay, I can share one another thing. This middleware, which was, maybe I can go back to presentation. Yeah. So this one here is also kind of rule engine, just Chorizoid, but here we picked it because we had a person who worked with that and knows it quite well, and he was able to define everything there in a very fast way. But there we met some limitations, like asynchronous processes. We were not able to define synchronous processes. We solved it in another way, but still, yeah, we had one solution which is like available on the market, and another solution where we need developers.
Yes. Credit part is clear. But did you succeed with card part?
There was not that much to do, actually. What we're waiting for now is for payments in zloty. This is why we will go production in few weeks only. But card itself, we have our partner who's providing us with core banking. They have delivered everything, but very few things are needed from their side, actually, to be able to set this limit, and that's it, nothing more. No calculations are in this core banking. Everything is delegated to our system. And mobile application also, they're quite suffering because of our API first development, yeah, but still it's nearly ready.
Okay. Do you need special credit license for implementing such credit feature, or it goes with regular via license?
It is, so this slide with legal justification was meant for that. So we're meeting these 4 conditions, and that's why our ME is able to issue such loans. There are some more limitations in each country locally, so we need to go deeper into local legislation. But in overall, it's in Poland it's fine. The only question is about having this debit or credit on the card itself. We might go with this credit written on the card, but technically that there is no difference. So that's the only possible limitation, and that's it.
Are all your microservices communicate through CRUD operations with rule engine?
As I remember, but I would like Robert to answer.
Yeah, you can answer.
Because I might not remember all the details. Sorry.
The answer would be it's kinda, because from their limitations, we cannot delete some data, obviously, so we have security safeguards. So that's, we are kind of there, but for security reasons, not all there.
Okay. And last question, who's processing your cards?
Wirecard.
Wirecard. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. So we give a round of applause to Jelena.